In the Second World War, the first victims of German aggression were the developed countries of Denmark, Holland, Belgium, etc. Even France was conquered by Germany. Therefore, there is something about size. Indeed, the smaller countries of Europe were rescued by the mighty Soviet Union that defeated Hitler's army at Moscow, Belorussia, Stalingrad, Kursk, etc., and were later on, in 1944, joined by the Americans and the British. As we speak today, only 4 countries have been able to land on the moon. These are the USA, China, India, and Russia. Why? Size and development matter. Uganda, even when it becomes a developed country, cannot have an overambitious space program. We are working on implementing a limited space program for overhead observation and communication, broadcasting and telephone communication. We shall have an overhead imaging satellite at an altitude of 600 to 700 kilometers in space, and another one for communication and internet at 36,000 kilometers in space. That one we shall share with the other East African countries. These are, however, not enough to defeat greedy and aggressive parasites who seek 4-dimensional superiority on land forces, superiority in the air force, superiority at sea, navy, and superiority in space forces. It is partly for this reason, but also for the purpose of implementing the economic integration of the markets easier, that we, the African revolutionaries, our departed elders, such as Kwame Nkrumah, Mwalimu Nyerere, Sekou Toure, Mzee Kenneth Kaunda, and we, their young followers, put forward the principle of political integration as another element of the Pan-Africanism principle. While we always aim at creating a continental common market for the whole of Africa, we also aim at creating a regional political federation where possible. While it is possible and desirable to create a continental common market, a political federation which represents a maximum form of integration should only be for peoples who are either similar or compatible, and preferably with a common language. This is how East Africa has always been the best candidate for political integration. The peoples of the area are the Bantus, the Nilotics, the Nilo-Hamitics, and the Cushitics, whose dialects are either similar or linked. Those delegates, those visitors of yours from Malawi, from Zambia, I'm sure I can speak with them. When we finish the ceremony here, I will greet them. I will say, Muribwanje, Turuwino, Murichari. I'll be talking to them. However, on top of all that, we have the good fortune of having the neutral dialect of Swahili that will easily be the official language of the potentially very powerful Federation of East and Central Africa. This East African Federation, with one army, a common citizenship, in addition to wider common market already talked about in this speech, will provide perpetual insurance for the freedom of the black race and other freedom-loving people in the world. It will have a defense capacity to be present in the 4 dimensions: land, air, sea, and space. How can you insure cars? You insure houses. You insure individual people's health. but forget to provide insurance for the African race. People have got insurance policy. Me, I don't have insurance policy for anything. My insurance is for, if Uganda succeeds, I am insured. I have never, Mama is here, I have never bought insurance policy. Never. My insurance is for Uganda to succeed. When Uganda succeeds, I succeed. But how can you have insurance for cars and buildings and I don't know what, but you don't insure the African race for them to be secure from threats? This was a mistake in the past. How can we repeat the same mistake? In 1963, our leaders were about to achieve this goal. I want to give to the Right Honorable Speaker a historical picture of the pages of the Uganda Argus. It is there on the screen. That picture there. Federation this year, that was 1963. I will give you a copy, Right Honorable. I give to the Right Honorable Speaker a historical picture of the pages. That's clearer. Show it to the other people, not just me. Are the audience seeing it? That was 1963. And it was the 6th of June, like today. A historic picture of the pages of the Uganda Argus newspaper of the 6th of June 1963 that captured that moment. You can see, bring the picture of our leaders. Move up we want to see the leaders. That picture there. The picture below is, yes, the picture below is, you can see our elders, Mzee Jomo Kenyatta, Mwalimu Nyerere, Mzee Milton Obote, with others, including a delegation from Somalia, declaring the intention to achieve the federation that year, 1963. All the subsequent calamities that befell this part of Africa would never have happened if we had achieved that goal at that time. The calamities I'm talking about were the seizing of power by Idi Amin in Uganda, the massacres in Burundi in 1972, the genocide in Rwanda, the collapse of the state authority in Somalia, the prolonged civil war in Sudan, or even the Renamo war in Mozambique, etc. There was no way Idi Amin could seize power here if we had an East African government. It couldn't happen. But the fragmentation, the pseudo sovereignty, you can imagine when Amin grabbed power here, Africans who wanted to oppose him could not do it easily because they were being told, Uganda is independent. Uganda is independent. And even when Amin was killing us, when we would try to get support from other people, we would be told, no, it is Amin's right to kill you because you are his subject. You are his subject. So that missed opportunity was a big setback. A united East African state with one army would never have allowed these tragedies to happen. Indeed, it is the East African cooperation that eventually enables us to solve these problems. However, coordinating multiple sovereign units is less efficient and less prompt in terms of action compared to a united East Africa. The third historical mission is to simply recognize the brotherhood and linkages among the African people and use them to achieve historical missions number 1, prosperity, as well as number 2, strategic security. As we have pointed out a number of times, the African race is only comprised of 4 groups of linguistic classification. These are the Niger-Congo, which includes the Bantu and the Kwa languages of West Africa, the Nilo-Saharan, which includes like our languages of the Nilotic languages and the Nilo-Hamitic, the Afro-Asiatic, which includes the languages of northern Ethiopia, and the Khoisan. Khoisan they are called the Bushmen in South Africa. They used to be called Bushmen. These groups have linguistic similarities within each cluster and linkages between them. In other speeches, I have demonstrated this. You can check on those explanations. The NLM line has been that the people we are trying to unite for the sake of their prosperity and strategic security are either similar or linked. It is therefore a betrayal for the African political classes to fail to grasp this and instead preach sectarianism, parochialism, etc. I therefore call on the Ugandans, especially the Bazukuru, to audit what has been achieved vis-à-vis the 3 historical tasks and the 4 ideological principles of the NRM, see what has been achieved and what remains to be done. Then you should do your own part to do what is not yet done. With patriotism, we have been able to unite the majority of Ugandans. That is why the NRM always wins with a majority on the first round when we go for elections. On the side of Pan-Africanism, we have revived the East African community together with the Wazee Daniel Arap Moi, Al Hassan Mwinyi, and Benjamin Mkapa. Later, our brothers from Rwanda, Burundi, Congo DRC, South Sudan, and recently Somalia joined the East African community. This has helped cross-border trade. Uganda exports goods and services worth US dollars 2.1 billion to the East African countries, and goods and services worth US dollars 2.157 billion to the COMESA countries. There are, however, still non-tariff barriers. With His Excellency William Ruto recently, we agreed to remove all these barriers against sugar, milk, eggs, fruit juices, etc. Saying that X country has got good rains this year and harvested a lot of maize, and therefore X country will either give quotas for maize from Y. Imagine there are 2 African countries, X and Y. They should be trading together. But one year, X says, this year I got a lot of rain and I harvested a lot of maize. So I don't allow your maize to come. The maize of Y. Or I allow what they call a quota, a certain amount. I either give quotas for maize from Y, or will not allow any maize imports from Y this year, is wrong. What happens? Why is it wrong? What happens to the maize growers in Y that year? Since the maize in Y will kudiba. Kudiba is our local word here, meaning that if you produce something and nobody buys, it's kudiba. So, if the maize from Y this year kudibas, because in X this year they have got their own maize. What happens to the maize growers in Y that year? Since the maize in Y will kudiba, have no buyers, the farmers will migrate to coffee, a product that depends on the global market and does not have those hurdles. Then next year, there's a shortage of rain in X, and they want maize from Y. Sorry, the farmers were betrayed, and they migrated to other products. This is the problem. The correct approach should be that maize from Y should not be blocked, even if there is a bumper crop in country X. Let the market determine the maize that will be preferred by the consumers. If it is found that maize producers in country Y are cheaper consistently, then let East Africa allow them to specialize and feed all of us. This is what I said about Tanzanian rice. If Tanzania produces rice more cheaply, let us all buy from them. Stopping Tanzanian rice makes us commit several sins. Sin number 1, you sabotage the Tanzanian rice grower by denying him market. Sin number 2, you rob the Ugandan consumer by forcing him to buy rice from the inefficient Uganda rice grower at a higher price, because you are punishing the Ugandans to buy more expensive rice that it is because it is from Uganda. Sin number 3, you invite Tanzania to counter-block our products. Sin number 4, you claim as our own rice growers to remain inefficient and therefore not competitive. Okulemaza is to cripple. Because if you don't allow your child to run and compete, how will he develop capacity? Therefore, let all the East Africans insist on full free trade in the East African community area and eventually in the whole continental free trade area, CFTA. This is the second task of the Ugandan wealth creators. Struggle for the completely free trade in the common market of East African community and Africa. The first task of the Ugandan wealth creators is to ensure that all the adults engage in wealth creation in the 4 sectors of commercial agriculture with the Kibaro, Jura, Otita, Aymar profitability assessment, manufacturing and artisanship, services, and ICT, using the provided funds of PDM, Emioga, GROW, UDB loans, etc. The third task, after we have fully recovered from the adverse effects of corona and other negative global phenomena, ensure that we provide completely free education for the Ugandan children in government primary and secondary and tertiary institutions, so that we achieve our target of Bona Basome, education for all. The fourth task is for the Ugandans and other East Africans that have got the right spectacles to see how the black race can survive as a free people, or even survive at all, to struggle and bring about the creation of the East African Federation. We have long proposed the movement of the willing, When Mwalimu was let down by his contemporaries on this issue, he moved with Mzee Karume to unite Tanganyika and Zanzibar to form Tanzania. It has been a great success. If we all can move together, it will be good. If we cannot, let the willing move. The crucial point that needs to be done is for the Pan-Africanists to be more active in pushing for the struggle for the political federation of East Africa and for the full economic integration of the common market of Africa. You should aggressively expose those who work for foreign interests and are always diverting our people through the media to the interests of the foreigners. If you read the papers, nobody is talking about African integration. You pick the papers. Papers, social media. What is your future?